Hey everyone, thanks for joining us here at Book Blather. If you're new here, I'm Dave, this is Olive, and we mostly talk about bookish things to help spread the joy of reading. We're really excited about this video today. We've been waiting to do it. So we have an amazing bookshop to show you and a great vintage haul from there. So my daughter has gotten into a number of colleges, and so we've been doing a couple overnight visits while she whittles them down. And so one of them we went to was the University of Pittsburgh. So far away that we actually had to spend 2 nights there because it's such a long trip. And so as I always do when I'm in a new city and I have a little time to kill, I check if there's a used bookshop around. And thank God I did, because within walking distance of where we were, there was this shop called Caliban Book Shop. And I think it might have been Caliban Books on the sign. And it's at 410 South Craig Street in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And this shop was absolutely amazing. Now, we've been to a number of used bookshops. I've been to, the Brattle up in Boston that, Steve Donahue always goes to and is always talking about. And, the Shire, which unfortunately no longer exists, up in Franklin, Massachusetts, which was a huge, very quaint, very dusty, but very quaint, old bookstore. And this bookshop, this Caliban Books, was the best used bookstore experience that I've ever had. And we had a great vintage haul from there. So I'm going to show you a little footage so you can see what it looks like I always do with you guys. But it was the place, everything about it was great. It was really pretty from the outside. It was really quaint on the inside. One of those places that's so jammed with books that there's books lined up on the floor next to the shelves and the aisles, and a basement you can go down into, and everything was really inexpensive. Everything that I got there was between $1 and $3. It was absolutely amazing. So I'll show you a little bit of what it looks like here. So like I said, South Craig Street. This is the front of the shop, Caliban Book Shop. And as you can see, sort of like the Brattle, they have all these little book carts out front during the day. And this was a little later. Wanted to get a shot so you could see what it looks like when it starts to get a little bit dark out. It looks very cute with all the lighting inside. Very quaint looking place. And then here we go in the inside. So this is the main floor. And as you can see, it is just row after row of books. That's the front of the store looking out to the street. And they've got so much jammed in here. You can see down on the floor, they've got, rows of books there just because they can't fit it all in. Here they started to bring some of the carts in already because it's getting a little later. But you can just see they're just jam-packed here. It's all double road there. And we'll go down a little bit here. This is towards the back of the store, and this is important you'll see in a minute. There's the front desk there, but the people are very nice in here, by the way. But as you can see, each aisle, they've got books lined up on the floor, just aisle after aisle there. And down here, we're going to go down towards the back, and when we turn the corner here, you'll see that there's a door that leads to a staircase. This goes down to the basement. This is the most important part. Down at the bottom here, this is the bottom of those stairs. On the left, there's some, random stuff there. But when we swing to the right, you can see the sign at the beginning of this section, Sci-Fi and Fantasy. And look what they have down at the bottom here, a box of, this is actually the old real pulp magazines. We always talk about the pulps. These are the real ones, the thick science fiction magazines with the real pulp paper. So here's the row of, you can just see shelf after shelf of vintage science fiction. This whole aisle here is pretty much all vintage science fiction. I mean, there's some other stuff. There's some other things back here. There was some detective
fiction and things like that. There was some good old detective fiction back there that I wish I had more time to go through, but you can just see here, it's just tons of vintage. Back here, look at all this. This is up at the top there. That's some like mystery detective stuff. But down these old Ace doubles, the yellow Daws in the back there. There's some other Tarzans down the bottom that I should have nabbed. Sorry, Dia. I'm kicking myself for that. And there's just, I mean, it's just, look at all this. These are old, this is more old pulp magazines, like old Argosy magazines back there, if you know those old pulp mags, like Shadow Comics and things over here. And so here we're going back out now, going back out of this aisle. And if we swing around where we just were, to the right, there is another aisle. And on the right, more vintage science fiction. And so this is, I mean, it's not all super vintage, you know, but there's still a lot. If you look, like right there, there's still a lot of more vintage science fiction back here. You can see all those old yellow spine Daw science fiction paperbacks. And here you see even some old westerns over here. So, yeah, this was just amazing.
So I spent most of the time downstairs in that basement where they had like all the science fiction and vintage detective fiction and stuff like that. And I'll tell you, if I had such a great time there, but I was there for a little over 2 hours, between 2.5 hours, because that's all the time I had before they closed. And even though I had a great time when I left, I had regrets because Pittsburgh is so far away. I'll never be there again at that bookshop. And if I had it to do again, I would set aside like a couple $100 for this trip and just go with a big box because there was just endless amounts, in particular, endless amounts of vintage science fiction. It was amazing. So, but we did do well in the time that we were there. So I'll jump in and show you what we got. And like I said, all of these were between $1 and $3. I couldn't believe it. So if you've been around a while, you know, one of the things that we've been doing, we started to collect been reading the Tarzan series, and we've been collecting all the Ace science fiction classic versions of those, the little versions that have like these great covers, Frank Frazetta. And so we have wanted to get more of those of Edgar Rice Burroughs books, and oh my gosh, we hit gold. So we got I shouldn't even put them all in my lap. I'm going to drop them. So we got The Eternal Savage by Edgar Rice Burroughs. So this one is what is it? Visiting Tarzan, the African jungle home, an American girl falls into the most astonishing science fiction adventure of all time, and some white-skinned savage from the Stone Age is thrust forward and encounters her. So, not a Tarzan book, I don't think. It's just Tarzan related. The Land of Hidden Men. So this is about in exotic Cambodia. There's a hidden place in the jungles of Cambodia where Gordon King, a daring American explorer, stumbled upon a 1,000-year secret kingdom, the Land of the Hidden Men. Beyond the Farthest Star. So this is an adventure on a faraway planet called Pelota, and it's the story of Tangor, a soldier and swordsman. The Cave Girl. So this is, what is this? A blue-blooded young Bostonian is civilized, thrust into the savage bone and muscle chief of a band of shaggy cavemen in a challenge worthy of the talents of the man who created Tarzan of the Apes. Always referencing Tarzan of the Apes, but this Waldo Smith Jones goes on this adventure on a lost island, and he meets he's given the name of Thandar, and he meets the cave princess Nadara. So I can't believe all these vintage science fiction science fiction classics of Edgar Rice Burroughs they had there. Just a whole pile. So the Mad King. I actually don't know much about this one. Um, and it doesn't really tell you too much, so I don't really know. If you know, tell us. So here's the Monster Men. They called him number 13, the latest and the best of Dr. Von Horn's attempts to make life from lifeless chemicals. He found himself an almost human on the hideaway jungle island off the coast of Borneo. Not until number 13 met the American girl who was Von Horn's unwilling prisoner did he realize how different he was from the others. It goes on. I want to read the whole thing on the back of these, but The Moon Maid. Look at that cover. Wow. The first manned spaceship to reach the moon discovered a world hidden from human eyes, a world of flying women, conical cities, and of semi-human monsters who fought for power across the eerie lunar plains. And Thuvia, Maid of Mars. This one's a little beat up, but this is the fourth book in the John Carter Mars Barsoom series. So I don't know if all the John Carter books were available in Ace Science Fiction Classic. I found out, later after I started clicking Tarzan ones, not all of them are available in the Ace Science Fiction Classic, but a bunch are. So I don't know. This is my first John Carter of Mars in this, so we'll have to look into that. Okay, then we have another on from Edgar Rice Burroughs, another Ace Science Fiction Classic, The Time Axis by Henry Kuttner. Called to the end of time by a being they knew only as the face of Ea, four adventurers from the 20th century faced a power that not even the super science of that era could meet. The Necron, negative matter, negative force, ultimate destruction for everything it touched. Okay, now if you've been around a while, you know I like these older Ace doubles. So we picked up this one. The Message from the Eosine by Margaret St. Clair. And Three Worlds of Futurity by Margaret St. Clair. Okay. Then we got another old Ace book, The Civilization That Time Forgot, King of the World's Edge by Warner Munn. They were a lonely, half-starved band of adventurers who had been cast out of their homeland by hordes of invading marauders, and they came to an unknown world as strange, as fantastic, as wonder-packed as the legendary Atlantis. And then we got another Ace double here, which has the sequel to that book, The Ship from Atlantis by H. Warner Munn. And on the flip side is The Stolen Sun by Emil Pataja. Another old Ace, The Best from Fantasy and Science Fiction, 6th series. This has everybody, like Paul Anderson, Kornbluth, Bradbury, Sturgeon. It's a bunch of short stories. But I don't know. I'm not going to read them all, but it's got a bunch of short stories by giants in science fiction. Okay, then we have another old Ace book, The Maker of Universes by Philip Jose Farmer. When Robert Wolfe found a strange horn in an empty house, he held the key to a different universe. To blow that horn would open up a door through space-time and permit entry to a cosmos whose dimensions and laws were not those our starry galaxy knows. That sounds wonderful. Okay, next look at this one, another old Ace, The Time Traders. Look at that cover. If it is possible to conquer space, then perhaps one can also conquer time. To test this theory, Ross Murdoch finds himself transplanted to the North Pole to participate in a top secret project. It is suspected that Russian scientists have discovered how to transport themselves back to prehistoric times. Another time, Key Out of Time by Andre Norton. And this seems related to that last one. So it looks like the same character. Time agents, Ross Murdoch, who's the same character we just heard about, and Gordon Ash, aided by a Peloponnesian girl and her team of telepathic dolphins, probe the mystery of the sea planet men have named Hawaka. Man, do any of these not sound incredible? Another old ace, Moonbase. What alien mind was influencing them? This is by E.C. Tubb. Felix Larsen had been sent to Luna Station 1 to investigate something odd on the moon. There was no proof, not even a concrete basis for suspicion, yet there was a feeling so wrong about the place that security had hinted at traitors. He awoke from a drugged sleep with no memory of the intervening time lapse. Now he had to be doubly careful because his secret might be out and somewhere in the station. Quest of the Three Worlds by Cordwainer Smith. The Gem Planet, the Storm Planet, the Sand Planet. One of these three Marvel worlds held the secret Casher O'Neill sought. Casher had wandered the inhabited galaxy seeking justice, seeking the cosmic power that would enable him to return to his home world and overthrow its usurper. But in the search he found much more than he sought, for there were things more incredible among the stars than he had dreamed of. Okay. Monsters and Such by Murray Leinster. So this is 7 startling stories of the inhuman and non-human by the unrivaled master of the impossible. Another Murray Leinster, The Planet Explorer. You are there. Centuries, eons from now, the peculiar, fantastic, astounding mind of man will conquer strange new worlds, presently beyond the reaches of imagination, and probe the meaning of the central core of infinity with instruments of incredible scientific precision. You are there! In the far-off era when man will defy gravity, space, time to explore the universe and make immensity his own. Here we have The Lonni People by J.F. Bone. This one sounds wonderfully salacious. They exported the Lonni to every planet in the galaxy. Who wants to be bothered by a woman when you can get a whole harem of Lonni so cheap? All Lonni are exactly like women with one minor addition. All happy only in the natural naked state. All expertly trained to make a man feel like a god. I assume the something extra is the tails that you can see in the picture there. So, sounds like this book probably has some issues, but it sounded interesting. Out of Bounds by Judith Merrill. So this is Weird and Wonderful, 7 stories of outer space and inner strangeness. Then we had, this sounded interesting. I don't know why. This old Pyramid book. The Green Rain, a fantastic tale of a world gone mad by Paul Tabori. No little green men, but an awful lot of full-size, bright green men, women, and children. About half Earth's population, in fact. That was the first result of the Green Rain, and the consequences mingled laughter with horror. From the emergence of crackpot cults to something tragically new in race violence. Then came the second Green Rain, the really serious one. That sounds intense. All right. Then this, look at this cover, the Weirwoods by Thomas Burnett Swan. This is a fantasy, a brilliant fantasy of humanity's dawn. Legends of humanoid races have always persisted in the lore of humanity, and these other man-like species have been given such names as gnome and sprite and centaur. Superstition has invested them with magic and mystery. But where there's so much smoke, was there not fire? And perhaps such not quite human races did exist at the dawn of human history. Then I picked up this Fuzzy Bones. I did not know that this existed by William Tuning. So we have a book that has the 2 novels in it, the Little Fuzzy and Fuzzy Sapiens. You know, it's about the humans go to a planet. I think they're going to use it for resources or something, and they discover that there's actually these primitive, intelligent life here, the fuzzies there. If you can see that. So we have a book with those first 2 novels in it. Those were by H. Beam Piper.
And so it looks like this William Tuning wrote this sequel called Fuzzy Bones, which I did not even know existed. So that was interesting. Then we also picked up this one. This one's a horror. Ringstones by Sarban. A tale of dark and mordant horror. I don't know much about this. It just looked really cool. It's buried deep in the reaches of vast antiquity lie the ancient customs, the vicious games, the laws of privileged lords, and his enslaved minions. Sarban's preoccupation is chiefly with the remote brooding past, which in certain circumstances refuses to die, but jealousy invades the present through the life and sanity of just such a healthy young animal as the heroine of Ringstones. So that just looked really, really creepy. Then we also found this. This is Halloween Horrors, edited by Alan Ryan. And this is, I think, 13. What was it? 13? 13 shockers, all set on the spookiest night of the year. So if you know, been around a while, you know in October, we always like to read Halloween-themed books. Not just scary books, specifically books that have to do with Halloween. So that's what it sounded like this is. All 13 stories are set on Halloween night. So we picked that up, hopefully this October. And then lastly, we picked up this book. This is like a, detective thriller, Kiss Me Deadly by Mickey Spillane. And we don't normally pick this up, but we picked this up solely because Jim over at Mystery Mayhem said we should. He's always talking about these type of books and the Mike Hammer thrillers. So this was an old vintage Mike Hammer thriller, so I picked this up. They had a lot of vintage detective fiction there, and it's one of my regrets that I just didn't have time. I mean, I would have picked up more if I could have done it. But okay, so I'm not going to recap them because that was a lot. But as you can see, that was a great vintage haul for us. We are very, very excited about this. It's just in time because Michael K. Vaughan just announced a new classic science fiction based reading event for July, which we are absolutely going to be taking part in, and we are very well stocked for this. We have another book on the way that we ordered as soon as we saw Michael's video about the event. But in any event, now we've got plenty of stuff to choose from. So really, really excited about this. Let us know if you've read any of these and what you thought of them, and if there's any in particular you think we should read first. Great thing about these is they tend to be short, so they're easy to squeeze in, So that's about it. You have anything else to say? It looked like she had something to say at the last minute, but I guess not. Okay. You want to say bye? Tell everybody thanks for watching. So yeah, leave us a comment if you know anything about these books. If you don't want to leave anything substantive, you can always leave Olive a puppy emoji. She always likes to see those. So if you like the videos you see here, think about joining us on our live stream show that we do every other Thursday with our co-host Gareth at Books, Songs, and Other Magic, called Is This Thing On? A very loose show where we talk about books, movies, music, all sorts of things. So always try to have a little fun. And biscuits. We always talk about biscuits. Okay, so thanks so much for watching. We'll see you very soon. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time.